in mind. Now, this morning, we are going to be focusing more on Namunkekera Rural Industrial Center. And I'm having a guest, and later I'll be joined by another guest still, where we are going to be discussing issues regarding this park. And join me, welcome Engineer 𝗏𝗵𝗂𝗶𝗹 Ronald, who is the Chief Engineer Namunkekera Rural Industrial Center, and also a Technical Assistant to the Chief of Wealth Creation, that is General Salim Saleh. You're most welcome.
Thank you, sir.
And later I'll be joined by a lady, that is Namari Harriet, who is the Secretary to General Salim Saleh when it comes to Kapeeka office and attached to Namunkekera Industrial Park. But allow me begin with Engineer. Most welcome to the show. And I know many Ugandans, when you talk about Namunkekera Rural Industrial Park or Namunkekera, what comes to them is more of industrialization and development. But kindly paint a picture, what exactly happens there?
Thank you so much. Good morning, viewers. Namunkekera is a historical site in Uganda, an industrial historical site. It goes way back to almost the history of Uganda and the protectorate, the British protectorate. When the Church Missionary Society came to Uganda, they came with an industrial mission. And in 1903, they incorporated a company in British called the Uganda Company. Now, the Uganda Company came to take over the industrial mission of the Church Missionary Society. So, in 1907, they introduced rubber in Namunkekera. And they planted almost 15,000 acres of rubber. So that was the beginning of Namunkekera appearing. And then later on, by 1930, we see Namunkekera a very strong industry for coffee and rubber. Now, Namunkekera by 1930 was fully automated. You can imagine at that time, 40 square miles away from Kampala, fully automated. And then they were managing Mubende coffee, Mitiana coffee, Buluri coffee, and 𝗏𝗏𝗄𝗏 coffee. All that coffee was coming to Namunkekera. So Namunkekera was one of the very first industrial sites in Uganda. So it's a historical industrial site in this country. So when we talk about Namunkekera, for us, we deliberately go back in history to understand its importance as far as the economy of Uganda is concerned. So by 1930, Namunkekera was that important and critical to the country because it was serving a huge area. And coffee is a historical also crop in Uganda that contributed to the economy. So by 1948, there is an Indian called 𝗏𝗏𝗄𝗏𝗏 who bought Namunkekera from the Uganda Company. Now this Indian took over and later on handed over this industrial site to a group of Baganda men, Antonio Tamale, and who were under the industrial coffee growers. So Namunkekera has been contributing to this economy since then. And now, later on, we all know what happened from 1966 when there was a collapse in the relationship between Buganda and His Excellency Milton Obote at that time. So the relationship between the Baganda and His Excellency Milton Obote collapsed. So these Baganda men had a lot of money because they had procured this industry at 2.5 million Uganda shillings from 𝗏𝗏𝗄𝗏𝗏. So that was too much money in the hands of Baganda at that time. So this brought us to the point of 1969, where many Ugandans know what we call the common man's charter, or what we call the move to the left. at that time. So under the move to the left, or common man's charter, private capital was forcefully put under cooperative or the cooperative movement. So East Mengo took over Namunkekera Rural Industrial Center, or took over the industrial coffee growers at that time and made it its own. And there was a contestation in ownership and handing over of Namunkekera to East Mengo, because it was, we did a study and we call this historical injustices. So how was Namunkekera, how was that Namunkekera passed on to East Mengo, when there was a policy directing that no private capital is supposed to operate on its own unless it is under cooperatives. So this is the time when much of Uganda lost private capital. And this war goes on until when we see Idi Amin come into power, and Idi Amin was welcomed heavily by the coffee growers in Uganda because of being suffocated. So having been suffocated, these people who had a lot of capital under coffee, and they had been refused to operate on their own because of the common man's charter. So when Idi Amin came in February 1971, they welcomed him heavily, and they even reported to him that they had been denied to operate. So the coffee sector welcomed Idi Amin, and much of it was a basis in Namunkekera. And Namunkekera had grown at that time and also expanded in Namakomago. If you're on your way to Jinja after what is that corner? When you're heading to Lugazi, you can see Lugazi on the other side, Namakomago. That was also part of Namunkekera expansion. And
so there is a very rich history.
Yes, there's a very rich history to the present. So Namunkekera did not start yesterday.
Okay.
So by 1997, General Salim Saleh bought this land. Okay, but remember, it had gone through war, the liberation war. So it was in shatters. So he had to revive it. And when he was reviving Namunkekera, he revived it under agro industrialization. It was more of agro than manufacturing. Because remember, he was processing tomatoes into ketchup or tomato sauce. Then we had maize, then we had cassava. Actually, he was one of the biggest growers of maize in Uganda, and this maize gave birth to the first industry in Namunkekera called 𝗧𝗍 International, which is currently one of the biggest processors of maize in Nakaseke. So this agro, the basis in agro industrialization gave birth to the first farm service center in this country, which is called Namunkekera Farm Servicing Center, which is currently running 5 districts in the Greater Mengo, or in North Buganda. That is Luwero, Nakasongola, Chivoga, Chankwanzi. So all these districts are supplying Namunkekera. So majorly, this has been how Namunkekera has been growing under General Salim Saleh. So this, after this agro-industrialization phase, he gave us a history of what we call the $1 equation. So under the $1 equation, General Salim Saleh had a prime property in Entebbe. Now this prime property in Entebbe, he sold it for a prime idea. So you look at the exchange of a prime property for a prime idea. So he sold all his property and invested in Namunkekera. So, and he shifted his home to Namunkekera, and he started from scratch until the time when he handed over this huge chunk of land to the Chinese. But allow me to go back in 2000.
Briefly, because you want to leave the background and history.
Yes. But allow me to go back in 2000 and I think 2002. General Salim Saleh had a meeting with the president in Moroto. At that time, he was not doing well financially. So what he did, the president told him, I know you're not doing well financially, but please don't sell Namunkekera, sell anything else. because Namunkekera will one day be an industrial center. That was 2002, way before Namunkekera could even suffice to be an industrial center. So you can see that the president of this country, who is none other than His Excellency 𝗬𝗲𝗄𝗎, had that foresight to know, and we thank him, and he has contributed 70% to the growth of Namunkekera Rural Industrial Center. So today, Namunkekera Rural Industrial Center is home to 26 industries, but 19 are fully functional. And we have so many products. It has become international because we are exporting to Europe, we are exporting to China, we are exporting to the entire Great Lakes region, because our tiles of 𝗏𝗏𝗏 go to as far as Mozambique, Tanzania, Kenya. So we have zeroed the export or the importation of tiles from Europe and Spain and all that to Namunkekera. This is why the Kapeeka Road, the Matuga-Kapeeka Road actually got eroded because of that export of tiles. And we have contributed greatly to the economy, to hiring almost... well,
that I'll get to it later on. I have also another person on the panel, like I told you earlier on, as we discuss Namunkekera. Now, you've given us the rich background, the historical attachment of Namunkekera, and the journey to where it is today. Now, many Ugandans hear of this. Some have seen clips or watched something like that, but there's something that is going to be happening, and that is the Park Trade Show and Bazaar at Kapeeka. Now, joining me, I earlier told you, is a lady who will be giving us more about this. Harriet, please tell us more when we talk about the Park Trade Show and Bazaar. What is this? When is it going to happen, and why now?
Thank you so much. Like you have already introduced me, I'm Harriet Namara, the Secretary General Sale Kapeeka office. We have thought of preparing this trade show to put our industrial park to another level. So many people don't know what we are doing there. And some are busy importing things that we are producing at Kapeeka, yet we are selling them cheaply, and they are good quality. Because, for example, tiles, toilets, we test those stones we use, and we have really quality tiles. And we get all the raw materials within Uganda, from Uganda within. The goodwill and the tiles, those are the most leading factories, because we are not outsourcing materials from outside. But the other materials are imported currently, and our factories are 19 that are under operation. Other 7 are still under construction. So we are pushing for 28 factories in a few years' time. Yeah, so we thought, since we began this industrial park, we have never done any trade show. We thought of doing this trade show, so for all the Ugandans to get to know what is happening in Kapeeka. The entrance is going to be free of charge. We are not going to charge people to enter. Maybe our friends who want to exhibit with us, those ones we call on the number that I'm going to read after. The external exhibitors who want to join us, and then we give you the details. But mainly it's Kapeeka Industrial Park, Namunkekera-Kapeeka Industrial Park, showcasing what they are producing. The date is 27th and 28th of September. We are going to be at Kapeeka, entrance of the industrial park, just right opposite our farm service center. We call it the Yellow House. And next we have offices of General Sale and one of his homes. So people who know there, please come and be with us. The chief guest is going to be the President of Uganda. Yeah, we've actually been advertising General Sale as the chief guest. So we were there yesterday but one, and he clarified it on air that since he's the host, he's not going to be the guest of honor. And we're going to have His Excellency 𝗬𝗲𝗄𝗎, the President of Uganda, who has already confirmed to be with us afternoon 27th. Then the second day we shall have other guests. We are still with our Honorable Minister 𝗍𝗍𝗓𝗍 also. The other thing they need to know is time. The time for the trade show will be 9 up to late. And we shall have an official function where we'll have speeches as later people will continue buying things. Even at night, people will be buying things till the following day. So the trade show is going to be busy for 2 days. And it is a trade show and bazaar, meaning that things are going to be cheaply. We shall buy even below factory price because we are trying to inform people and they go and test what we are producing at Kapeeka. So Mr. Zhang has confirmed that the factories are going to be selling their products cheaply than their normal prices. Yes.
Now, this brings me back to engineer here with me. When you talk about this park, yes, you talked about functioning industries. Help us understand. The background is 𝗓𝗏𝗃𝗓𝗃. Now, one wants to know, do we have various investors and came and took space in this industrial park, like we see other industrial parks, that government opens up space and then people through Uganda Investment Authority or that get ideas, these are national industries, these are 𝗓𝗏𝗃𝗓𝗃 industries, because of these pushing to feed into a broader understanding of Kapeeka.
Thank you so much. Allow me to inform you that Kapeeka is an exhibit of Museveni's economics. And under Museveni's economics, we know security of persons and property, we know liberalization and privatization. Now, liberalization and privatization gave private sector the enabling environment. So Namunkekera is a private sector industrial park, or we can say a private industrial park. It's not a government, but though it is facilitated by government, okay? But it is private sector run industrial park. Now, 𝗓𝗏𝗃𝗓𝗃 is the chairman because he was the landlord. Now, so we run a model of landlord, developer, investor model. So it is not right when people say it is 𝗓𝗏𝗃𝗓𝗃's industrial park. This is not 𝗓𝗏𝗃𝗓𝗃's industrial park. He is the vision bearer, but this park is for Ugandans. Namunkekera is an industrial park for Ugandans. It's not 𝗓𝗏𝗃𝗓𝗃's park, it's not Chinese industrial park, it is Ugandans industrial park. Because the products are made for Ugandans and it is Ugandans working in this industrial park. So as the vision bearer, he sold his prime property for a prime idea, which was Namunkekera. Now he got the land, so he handed over the land for investment. So he handed over this land actually at $1 to the investor. So what the developer did was to partition this land in so many plots, industrial plots, and he went back home in China and welcomed investors. So this is how Namunkekera becomes the fastest growing industrial park, because of its model and visionary. You can see 2002, the president says, don't sell that land, it shall be an industrial park someday. So many years after, almost coming to 8 years after, it becomes an industrial park. But with the 𝗓𝗏𝗃𝗓𝗃 initiating through agro-processing, then he hands over for full investment under the $1 equation, where he is actually benefiting from that industrial park, but not practically participating. Many Ugandans don't understand this model, that you can be a landlord and still earn out of your land without you practically investing on that land or being on that land. So this is the $1 equation. So from the contracts made between...
Now when you talk about the $1 equation,
yes,
because this is very good for many Ugandans to hear, yes. What is this $1 equation?
The $1 equation is whereby you are a landlord, like we have 5 kilometers of land, you hand over this land at $1 to attract investment on that land. Now when you attract investment on that land, investment balloons up blows up and occupies the full plot of land. But you have a contract with the individual investors. For every product they produce, you have a percentage. Now, for you, you are earning at a percentage from every product. Even if it's one bottle, you have a percentage on every bottle produced. Even if it's one cloth, you have a percentage on every cloth being produced. But you're not the one who is investing on the land. Okay? But you handed over the land and attracted the investment on it, and then you sit aside and start consuming your sweat. So now, many Ugandans believe in selling land. But no, this is another way. This is why they call General Salim Saleh financial engineer. Because you can see that on the onset, he financial engineered Kapeeka. So he's in Gulu, but he's earning from Kapeeka. Many millions of money, actually billions of money. Because on each product produced in the park, he has a percentage. But he's not the owner of the industry, and he's not the